Yes, we are. Whoever wants to. So I have a YouTube channel. It's called Debbie Arnell. Really original. And I also will post it on Facebook, just as a recording, but it takes you back to this. And then I also do live on Instagram at the same time. So that's kind of what's going on today. Well, do you know what's so amazing is I had the thoughts, the prompting to do that, and then COVID happened. And so I started it. And that's really what changed it. Oh, I just love when I get on and I see people I know.
Her spare time, she rides horses, climbs mountains, and goes down the minor Rhine River.
I have done all of those things.
We went down to Colorado last summer, and that was
Oh, she came. She's here. Do you want to, you can hear, this is Ruth. Do you know Ruth? All righty. We are ready to do yoga. Sorry, we're a little bit late. So I am in the midst of singing performances. And so don't expect my hair and makeup done every day.
Your hair is gorgeous.
It is done. Anyway, it's been crazy. Oh, Joyce got bands out. She wants to do bands today, guys. Oh, bands. Okay. Oh. I was not going to use them, but I saw them. No. She wants this. She is amazing. Oh, so fun. Sorry, I just need to get the hair out of the way.
He's traveling today, but he'll be here next week, and I won't.
Okay. So good to see you. We've missed you. I always miss you guys. I miss that I'm not in the neighborhood anymore. So that's what I miss. So go ahead, and before you start with balls on the feet or anything, just find a seat up tall, close your eyes, take some breaths. I don't know how you feel, but this time of year for almost everybody gets crazy. It's just, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but traffic, it's like somebody just turns up let's add more cars to the road, somebody. You know how you have those little Hot Wheel tracks that are going, and then you can like turn and add extra cars to the track, and all of a sudden it's this clog. And so we go to stores, we try to go do something that maybe takes us normally 15, 20 minutes, and it ends up taking us 40, 45. And we find that our stress level goes up. So you have taken time today, this morning, to just sit, to breathe, letting just everything go. This is yoga. Yoga is connecting, uniting, paying attention to. How am I doing, right? So I was listening to a LDS conference talk this morning as I was getting ready. And it was called the slope versus the intercept, or the starting point. This idea that we worry so much about, oh my gosh, I'm not getting done what I used to do, or I started in a place and now it's just all going downhill, and we worry about those things. And the talking about what our Savior Jesus Christ does, and as we we are in this season of his birth. This idea that of just getting rid of the start point. It's not what the Savior looks at. The Savior looks at our incline or our slope. Are we staying steady still? Are we going down? Are we going up? And it doesn't mean that we start back. I believe, this is Debbie talking, that every day is a new start point. And what do you do with your day? If you start and you just find, oh my gosh, I gotta go, I got this, and then I've got this, and then I've got this. That's kind of what my day yesterday and today is like. And tomorrow, and Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, and then Saturday I get to go, or Sunday I'm actually going to go, but some days and some weeks are like that. Think of the holidays when you have guests in town. Sometimes are getting ready for the holidays, making sure that everything's perfect. Our Savior does not care about the perfect. He cares about us. He cares about how we treat others. So if somebody takes our parking place, right? Do you remember from the movie Fried Green Tomatoes to Wanda? When they took her parking place and she just rammed their car. Funny point in the movie, right? They were taking advantage of an older woman, okay? And she got even, okay? Funny point in the movie, but what if we just said, fine, you must need it worse than I do, right? And move on so that our slope moves upward. It doesn't have to move upward at a great pace. It just needs to be upward. My craziness means that the rest of today, I'll sing 4 times in assisted living centers, bringing joy, hopefully, to those listening, bringing a little bit of spirit, looking people in their eyes. We can't hug and hold hands right now in the season we've got going on in our world. But I can look in their eyes and shine my light. So as we practice yoga today, don't let your mind go back to, oh, but I used to be able to do this, and I used to be able to do that. Yeah, we all did. But today we're doing this. So taking some deep breaths, just letting ourselves pause and go ahead and blink open the eyes if they might have been closed. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. So we're going to try and move every ounce of our body. We're going to do a little bit of more standing stuff today, okay? Working with our legs and our spine. So just start with some rolls to the shoulders. Oh, it is so good to see you guys. Yeah, so maybe they go alternately. Maybe they go together. Guess what? Neither is better. Maybe they want to go forward. Maybe there wants to be a little twist with them. Find some movement, right? Oh, stretch. Oh, open up. Welcome the day. Maybe you already did some of this at home. I didn't this morning. I was so tired last night. I crawled into bed. And when the alarm went off this morning, I was like, what's going on, right? I was tired. Some mornings are that way. It's okay. Go ahead and start to make this open and close, elbows in. That helps you get your shoulders on the back. And then notice when you turn them here, the shoulders roll forward. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that forward shoulder movement, right? We want to have that movement. We don't want to stay there, because when we stay here, we create this, I don't even know if I can do it, this little hump. I'm bound and determined not to have that, right? So come up, right? Open. But then go ahead, find that. We want that range of motion. In fact, can you feel, go ahead and just take one arm and move it forward. And as you pull back, oh, doesn't that feel good? Is it just me? Does it feel great to your back? You know, you're just like, oh, yes. And so you can go in and out, finding a little extra stretch in that spine. But then we want to come back to here with the shoulders pulling back because we also want to open here. Finding the stretch. Go ahead and grab hold. You'll be grabbing hold of the backs of your chair. I'm sideways, so I'm going to hold the side. But bend the elbows, because with the elbows bent, you have more room to move the shoulders. Go ahead and tuck your chin. You're going to find a fabulous stretch on the back of your neck. And then go ahead and just open. Reach the chin. And then close round. And then open. And then go ahead and reach the other arm forward, because both sides of the body, we have two sides. They're not symmetrical, but we want that stretch. Ooh, wherever, maybe you wiggle through that stretch. The hardest thing to access, right, when we're seated in a chair is our legs. And our legs and our hips, okay? So we're going to work on everything, but we are going to stand a little bit more today. So just pause after that movement and kind of go, does your body feel better for having done that movement? That's kind of the filter that we want to work with. Does it feel better? And if it does, then why not do it every day? Yeah. My family teases me incessantly. Yes, Mom, yoga cures everything. We know, blah, blah, blah. But in all reality, moving our body is what kind of cures everything. And sometimes moving our body in ways, discovering that, oh, I've moved my body in a way that hasn't been very beneficial. Okay. Go ahead, let's stretch the arms up. We'll get our legs, I promise, we'll get our feet too, and go pulsed. Remember that feeling as if your forearms are stuck in the door and you're going through it. So let yourself kind of pull through it. And then you are going to pull. I watch all of you already just pulling the elbows down a little. Yeah, there you go. And then go ahead, and this time, instead of the head forward, lift the chin. Feel as if someone's pulling on your ears and they're pulling you back. And you're still trying to push through the door. And this is the heart is what's leading the way. If you are a people watcher, I am, you will often see people that have heartache. They walk around like this. They're protecting themselves. They don't want to get hurt. This is a very vulnerable place to be. Go ahead and release. Stretch one ear. Now remember, when we bring this hand up over, we are not pulling on the head, but we are pushing the head into the hand, okay? So go ahead and take that arm up and over, right? Hold on to the temple, spread through the fingers, but don't use your arm to pull your head down. Push your head back into your arm. Take this opposite arm and reach it towards the floor. That's a better stretch, and that does not injure the spinal column up into the neck. Go ahead and tuck your chin. Oh, yeah. And go ahead and untuck the chin. And just kind of a little bit of movement there. I don't know about you, but my stress gets stored here on the sides of my neck and in between my shoulders. And release. Just notice that, how good that feels. Can you feel how your head kind of feels lopsided? It's like, excuse me, help do the other side. We'll do it in a minute. Go ahead and turn and look, and then come back and turn and look. So finding this movement, and if anything feels really wonderful, all of this stuff can be done every day. Okay, go ahead, here we go, opposite arm. It's coming up and over. You can't do the same arm, you gotta do the same other one. Did you do that one last time? Okay, sorry, then you can change arms. I thought you did the first one, so. So remember, we're not pulling on the head, we're pushing the head that way. So the head is pushing. And then this arm's gonna come down, reaching, yeah. And then tuck your chin. Ooh, that's such a good stretch. And lift the chin. And go ahead and tuck it. And lift it. Spread through the hands that are down here because that gives an engagement of the muscle of the neck. Isn't that amazing? I can spread my hand and get the muscle of the neck. And then release. You just feel your head kind of float up. Tuck your chin. Take your hands, interlace fingers. Now, you are not pushing down, but you are going to put the weight of your hands there. So they're just placed. They're not pulling the head down. So just find that tuck of the chin with the hands. It's just gravity. Push the head back up into the hands. So push the head up. Same principle here. See if you can pull shoulders down. Oh, and then gently release the hands. Notice that when you do that with your head, the head kind of just goes buoyancy, right? There's just this, oh. One more to do. Lift the chin. Bring the hands together, same thing. But this time, the head, and if you can only get one shoulder up, you can do this one-handed. Push the head into the hand. The hand is just supporting because it's starting to get heavy, right? If you've got both arms, great. If you've just got one arm, fabulous. And then just pull your hands back towards the ceiling, like you're trying to lift something up. You are, it's your head, but your head is just hanging. Breathe, take some deep breaths and notice when you lift your face, your chest, you increase the ability for those lungs to expand. And release. How you feel? Nice. Isn't that awesome? Okay. Now grab the balls and let's do our feet. Okay. Remember, we're looking for something on the foot that's maybe a little painful, a little sensational. Now, if it's a sharp pain, if you know you've got some issues, then be gentle, okay? If you're like, oh, I don't really feel anything, move it around. Most of the time, ooh, right there, arch is where we'll find it because, right, the arch lifts off the floor. And so that those muscles have to support. One of the things that happens as we age, okay, and I have family members, I've got a sister going in for surgery this week. This has fallen. All this, and we tend to have high arches, right? Keep rolling your feet. But that has fallen down. And so the walking, that's not meant to be on the ground to walk. Okay, some of us need arch supports, and I remember so distinctly, I was running at the time, and I went to get some arch supports for my running shoes. And I was teaching yoga at the time, and this is what the store clerk, person helping me, said. You know, I try to teach people to use the muscle of the arch of the foot so they don't need arch support. And I'm looking at it, I teach that all the time. I don't need that arch support. I just need to use my feet when I run, right? So, yes. So if you find a sensitive place, online, you can find some wonderful, I'll try to put in the show notes, some things about foot zoning, about what that pain, where that refers to in the body. Because basically every organ that's a part of our body is found in our feet. So if you've got a place like that, I'll do that in the show notes so that when you
Causes plantar plantar fasciitis?
Causes of plantar fasciitis? Usually, great question. Usually it is just this overstimulation here. One of the things we do, okay, go ahead and flex your foot. When you flex your foot, just pull the toes back. Get one of your legs up here if you can. Pull the toes back. It's this tendon, and it just overstimulates and tightens. So they'll have you freeze 16-ounce water bottles, and then you just roll your feet with them. Okay, that's the way you ice them. Yeah, that doesn't sound very fun, does it? It is actually wonderful. But notice if instead of reaching the toes back, which is what we tend to do because we think we're stretching it, sometimes plantar fascia is because we've overstretched. Take and pull, just put your hand right on the ball of your foot. I'm trying to see if you guys can see this. I do it against my darn pants. Okay, and then pull the toes back. So you're pushing the toes, not curling them forward, right? But just pushing them flat and making them work. Can you feel how that works here? But look at the difference. I no longer have this over fatigue of those tendons. Does that make sense? Okay. You have to kind of fiddle with this. And so one of the things I teach, go ahead if you want to try this, is to plant the heel, plant the ball of the foot, go ahead and lift the toes. That's one of the things that engages and creates plantar fascia, is that over flexing of that foot or overuse, okay? So if you push into the ball of the foot and then take your toes and try to reach them, not curling them, but straight out and pushed into the floor, it actually softens the arch of the foot. So that's one of the things we work, is just doing that instead of just our regular. Because almost all plantar fascia comes from this action, overuse of that action. Does that make sense?
So walking?
Walking, but if you could walk, and they have toe connector things, separators, but what you're trying to do is train the toes not to just because just put your feet normal. This is some great work, okay? Just put your feet, relax them, and let them just do nothing. And look down at them. Anybody got some hammer toe things going on, or some crooked toes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? We tend to do nothing with our feet. And so when we walk, everything is that arch. Everything. It's just overuse, okay? Now, and if we run, if we play tennis, if we play pickleball or any basketball, any of those things, it just increases it, okay? Now, go ahead and just try to plant the big toe, spread your toes, but instead of just spread them, you notice that they lift up? Instead of letting them lift, try to reach them forward. You're like, what? They're not doing that. Try to just stretch them forward. And what that does is it now starts to use the top of the foot instead of the underside of the foot, which is the oppositional muscles. So hammer toes, anything like that can be plantar fascia. That's what you do. Takes some time, as in everything in the body. Go ahead, second side. Find, ooh, I have been on my feet a little bit more with singing. Stand and move. Why do you look for the places that are sensitive and then stay there? Wouldn't you want to find the sensitive places and come off of it? Question. What do you think?
That's where you're having issues.
It is. It's exactly where you're having issues. Now, what we try to do, and this is one of the very best like magnifying glasses that you can use in your body, is the breath. So if you're feeling something very sensational, close your eyes. Take some deep breaths. Breathe right into that spot. like a straw, use a straw, inhale and suck out. And then exhale, just feel like you're blowing into the straw. Right back down in your mind, send that, take that energy of the breath right down to that spot. Notice if it starts to lessen in sensitivity. Or maybe it doesn't lessen, but you kind of go, wow, but it's not bothering me as much. And then blink open. Pain is meant for us to go, oh, something's going on. I need to address it, okay? I am not against ever using ibuprofen or Tylenol. But if something is hurting and we're like, oh, I just got to keep going, and I'm going to take this ibuprofen so I can keep going, we're basically telling our spirit, I'm not listening to you. Our body, no, you're not important today. Important is what I've got to get done. And so that is not a connected at all, is it? And so I really try to, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling that? Find the breath. Let me take a pause. And then you kind of evaluate. And then maybe you go and find someone that has some answers. Well done. Let's do our toes. Go back to the first foot. Okay? One toe, one big toe, one pinky toe. So those toes are stretching up. That might increase your plantar fascia. But honestly, most of the plantar fascia is if your toe, your big toe and your pinky toe are lifting too. We're pushing the big toe and the pinky toe down. Can you feel the difference on the arch? See if you can pay attention to the arch of the foot. Lift the toes, all of them. Try to lift that big toe and the pinky toe. And then pull the big toe and the pinky toe down. That will actually lengthen and give you more space on that plantar fascia. Go ahead and come up and over the top. This is for the top of the foot. Okay? If you can go all the way to where your toes touch and continue, go for it. If you're like, no, it's not happening, that's okay. This is stretching. I want you to ask, go ahead and come back, keep the toes curled around the ball, but bring your heel down. When do you ever do that? Larry's like, I never do stuff like this. Yeah. Guess what? These feet support us all day long. Everything we want to do. Okay? Go ahead and release. Just wiggle through the toes. Yeah. Change sides. Find the first. Lifting all 5 toes. Go ahead and bring it down so the big toe is on one side, pinky toe is on the other side. Yeah. And then go ahead and see if you can lift the big toe. Keep your foot down. That's actually an easier move, isn't it? Than pushing the toe down. Yeah. And then go ahead and lift it. Push it down. We're going to stay here for a little bit. I talked for a little bit. Take your mind from this toe to this one and take a peek at them. They still a little bit pink and a little bit, it's like, ooh, there's just a tingle in them. And there's also, they don't scrunch up as much. They seem to just kind of go flat. If you notice baby's toes are straight, right? So we're creating baby toes, yeah. Go ahead and come on up, here we go. This is our favorite part. Come over the top. If you find you get a cramp, come out, work it out, come back in. Maybe you can go past, it's kind of hard on the wood floor, I'm just saying, and find the toes pushing in. If you get like your arch cramps, come out, wiggle, come back in, find that stretch, and then come down, put the heel down, but keep the toes curled around the ball. Such fabulous work for the feet. And then go ahead and release. Just let them pause. Feel the tingle, feel the blood flow increase. Go ahead and just tap on. Kind of nice stuff, okay? I have found that as I've aged, anybody got a little bit of neuropathy going on in their feet, it's okay. It gives us a little bit of rhythm. Yeah, so go ahead and take one of your feet. We're gonna do this to both of them. So start with one. You might wanna lose your socks. Okay, and just squish. Just use your hands to squish your feet, your toes, okay? See if you can take your fingers and spread them through each toe. When I edit this, I'll see if I can come and go in so that you can actually see this, okay? And then squeeze and just kind of wiggle. I'm glad you asked that question. Because what we do with our feet is usually get them in socks and put them in shoes, or put them in flip-flops or sandals.
Flip-flops have no support.
Some of them don't, some of them do. Chacos, I should get a kickback from Chacos on my Chacos. They have an arch. You want to find one that has an arch support in it, yes. But you also want to learn to train those muscles. Yeah. And then release those fingers. It's really good for the fingers as well. And then just roll through the ankle. Okay. So we spend an inordinate amount of time, 5 minutes, on the balls in our feet. Okay. But this is what takes us through our day. It supports all of this, and this is some weight, right? Okay, go ahead and change to the other side. Okay, find your fingers, right? See if you can go through each toe. Is that too much on the knee? I'm gonna come, I'll be back. Keep going. I'll come do that one for you. How's that? He's like, okay. What? She's like, you have to do my toes spread out. I don't know how much do you love him. You get your fan? Look, my hands are red to your white feet. Wow. Yeah. So this kind of movement and just letting those toes, yeah, this relaxation kind of stuff. Feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. Okay, beautifully done. All right, stand up. Come around to the back of your chair. I'm just gonna turn mine sideways so that you can see. Grab your block, okay, calf of the foot, ooh. Yeah, I can tell I've been standing a lot. Go ahead and find the ball of the foot. So you're, I'm just gonna go sideways for the camera for a sec. So you plant there and the heel is down. Really try to get the heel on the floor, right? Holding onto our chair. Go ahead and with the heel on the floor, lean forward. Take the tiniest little bend. Okay, does anybody not feel that in the calf? Okay, yeah. Guys, anybody have stairs at their house? Just even upstairs, going into the house. If you'll stand on that, hold the wall, hold the railing, right? Stand and you don't even have to just stand. Oops, that's not gonna work, is it? I'm gonna end up injuring myself. Just like a stair, just stand, put some weight on it. I'm gonna have to put weight on there. And just let the heel hang, okay? Fabulous way to do this. Okay, but here, the thing that we're doing is pushing the heel. When we find the heel into something, okay, now push down with the heel. Try to feel like it's going into the floor. You're just rooting down with the leg. And then we've talked about this before, but I'd like you to feel like An ace bandage is wrapping your legs. You're tightening the muscles of your thighs up and around as you're pushing down. Tighten the legs, tighten the legs. Feel that push down, feel the whole, I feel it clear up through my glutes. Okay, and then release it, okay? Go ahead and come up on top, okay? We are taking, and we're gonna go right up and over the toes. Trying to, again, if you look at them, they're probably red and then they go white. We're cutting off some of the blood supply because of our heart is pumping. When we do this and we come out, the blood goes, okay? We're giving it a little bit more impetus into our toes. Go ahead and change legs. Still holding on, find the ball of the foot, find the heel. Now, the tendency is to lock back in the knee, is to let that knee lock back. Can you see that lock back? I don't know if you can see it because of my leg. It goes backwards. We don't want it locked. We want a tiny bit of movement there, okay? So little bit of a bend in the knee and then lean forward, okay? Keeping the heel down, feel the heel push down. Kind of like you're pile driving it, yeah. And then find the tightening of the muscles. If it helps you to find an ace bandage, if anybody ever wrapped an ace bandage and you squeeze it, go up across your knee. This is one of the best things we can do for our knee health. We're using the muscles of the lower and the upper leg to support. Come up through the thigh, really squeeze the thigh. See if you can squeeze all the way to the glute. And it starts to get fatigued, okay? Squeeze for a little bit longer and then release. Bring the toe, bring it all the way up. Come up and over, squeezing through those toes. And then release. Roll through those ankles. Okay, we're going to come back in and do it a second time. I want you to notice if there's a difference. First side, plant the foot, reach the heel, knee bent, heel push down. So notice I'm taking this leg back here so that I can get some support and some lean forward. Yeah, breathe. Tighten the muscles. Just feel the ace bandage wrapping or just feel the muscles hug onto the bone. Come all the way up the leg, come across the knee. Notice how good the knee feels there. Why we wrap it, why we push down with the heel. Yeah. Tighten it again, keep it tight, breathe, and then release. Come up, roll through the ankle. Wobble your legs, right? Okay, second side, let your back foot be back a ways so that you are stepping. That's going to give you more access to get the heel down, is to step back a little. Push down into the heel, push into the ball of the foot, slight bend in the knee, push down, lean forward, and then find the tightening of the leg muscle. Breathe to that sensation. Yeah, beautifully done. It's not, you're like, Debbie, you do some of the weirdest things. Yeah, let's play with our legs, right? Let's fiddle with them and make them. Does that feel good on your knees? Can you feel how there's like no pressure on the knee here at all? And it's because we're using the lower leg muscles and the upper leg muscles. There are no muscles in the knee. It's the joint. Go ahead and release. Come up, wiggle. Oh, yeah. Just kind of do, I don't know. Is that the chicken? Find some room. And then go ahead and hands on the back. We're going to stretch. So lengthen. Ruth, if you'd like to, you can totally move your chair and do down up here on your mat. Find the stretch in your legs. Let the knees bend. So what I was telling Ruth, and if you've got this capability at home, please do it. Okay, you can take the hands to the floor. You can take and find this It's a down dog. It's all, look at my body shape, and then look what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. Okay, we're just finding that give. Now, engage your legs. In fact, I want you to take a block, even you, Ruth. Put it right between your shins like this. Okay? And with it between the shins, yeah, you have to waddle to get back. With it between the shins, hug the block. And as you hug the block, you're going to notice that your sit bones, your rear end, widens. In yoga class, we call it blossoming the buttocks.
That's a good thing, Debbie.
It's a good thing. What we're doing, so can you feel the stretch in the low back there? Yes? Okay. You also can feel that there's some space in the hip socket. So go ahead and you're just going to try to bend the knees a little bit more and reach back a little bit more. And you're going to feel this greater stretch in the hips. And then go ahead and use your hand, one hand to grab the block or to lose it, just drop it, and then walk back in. Shake out those legs. Okay. What happens because of just the way our body's built, when we hug something in, because we've got these hinges, something else goes wide. So if we hug the lower part of our leg in, we can actually widen through the thighs and create space in our hip sockets. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. All of these muscles, okay, we have them, they're muscles and they're on our bones, okay? The muscle attaches to a tendon. The tendon goes through to where it wants to attach. It is not muscle. Tendons are not meant to stretch. They come up and they attach. Anything that's here comes up through the hip socket and attaches up here on the spine, the abdomen, the hip, any of those places. Any of these abdominal muscles that help us bend and stretch and move, they go down the muscle, they attach to a tendon, it goes through the hip and attaches down here. Some of them even attach down in here. Ones that create this kind of range of motion start here, attached. Tendon, muscle, tendon, attach. That's how the muscle in the body works. And so when we lock a joint, like the knees back like that, elbows, when we lock in there, that's not requiring any muscle work whatsoever. So when I bend, and I reach and I stretch, and I bend and I reach and stretch a little bit more, I'm taking the bones to move and to stretch the muscle so that the attachment, and I'm creating space. I'm creating space in my hip sockets, in my knees, for all those tendons to just celebrate. The back of your knee is tendon after tendon, ligament after ligament, tightening and holding. Now, ligaments attach bone to bone. Tendons attach muscle to bone, okay? Go ahead and come back in. Downward facing dog again. If you want, it's one of the best poses you can find, is just to find that stretch and that V. And we do it in the chair in this class because we can, okay? So find your length, planting your hands somewhere. Oh, you got it, Joyce. Yeah, and then come up. Now, we're gonna walk in and out of that. This is what a sun salutation does. This is why a sun salutation is so amazing. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, plant your hands and step back. Use your exhale. Inhale, round through the spine, tuck your tailbone. Exhale, stick it back out. Inhale, walk yourself back in. Exhale, and then inhale the arms up. And exhale, here we go again. Plant the hands, step back, find the stretch. Inhale, curl through the spine, round it up. Exhale, release the round. Inhale, walk your feet back in. Feel your hips and your glutes work here. Inhale up. Exhale, plant the hands. Also your spine, take it back. Inhale, find length. Exhale, curl and round. Tucking, rounding. Inhale, find length. And exhale, just walk it back in. We're gonna do 3 more. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, can you feel the heat you're creating? Plant those hands, step back. Find that stretch and lengthen. Inhale, exhale, round and curl, tighten. And inhale, lengthen. And walk it back in on your exhale. I'd like to hear audible exhales, so that means it sounds yeah. Inhale up. Exhale. Take an audible exhale as you reach it. Inhale. Find a little bit more length. Exhale, you're going to round. Audible exhale again. Inhale, find length again. Exhale. Walk it back in. Inhale up. Last one. Exhale. Step it back. Inhale, find that length. Exhale, find the round. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale. And walk it back in. Beautifully done. Anybody get a little sweaty? So, go ahead, and we've done this before. Just start wiggling. Wiggle everything. So we got a little bit off, not off, but we had a question about feet and plantar fascia, okay? I'll put that in the show notes, just some of the guidelines there. Make sure if you've got plantar fascia that you are finding, right, the foot, not just up so that the arch is lifting and working, but also here. Make the big toes and the toes push down because you're creating, can you see the difference? If you guys, can you see the difference? You can't see it there. Okay, if I'm here against there, look, the arch there is way high and shortened. When I stretch those long, I'm creating more space. That's what all of this work is about creating more space from shortened arch to a lengthened arch. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing with our bodies. Go ahead. Come onto your mats, on your backs, your favorite place ever. Start windshield wipers. On your back, windshield wipers. Don't worry about the balls. Let them roll around. We'll pick them up later.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
So here, right, let the legs go, just drop to one side. They come up, they drop, and then if you'd like, you can actually add the head, which just moves opposite. The inhale brings the knees up, the exhale takes them down. Bringing them up, taking them down. Bringing them up, taking them down. Oh. Notice where, what am I trying to say? Notice how your body is feeling. Is there a sense of ease or a little bit of lightness? Is it feeling a little more mobile? Is moving, does it feel a little easier? How's your breath? What do you feel like with your breath? Do you feel like, better's the word that comes to mind, but that makes it sound like, and it is better. It is better to have more ease in our movement, no question, okay? But what has the work we've done for the last 50 minutes created for you in your body now? If you're in more pain, then what we did today wasn't good for you. If later on today you feel muscle like, oh my gosh, my muscles are sore, that's actually a good thing. That means you've worked your muscles. If a joint hurts, a knee, an elbow, a shoulder, if it's a sharp pain, okay, if it's a dull ache, probably not a good thing. But if it's muscle fatigue, knowing the difference between creating muscle work that builds some lactic acid that then we have to do just means, oh, you haven't used that muscle. What am I doing? I've been asked, what am I doing? I'm talking and watching you guys, but I'm also working on my hips. So this is a great question. I'll move back so you guys can see. I'm seated in what we call easy seat, okay? But you'll notice that I'm up on a block. Okay, now the rule, this is the alignment rule. And a lot of people don't know this, a lot of yogis don't know this. If you sit wherever you're sitting, right? We talked about this last week. This hip bone, you want at least parallel to the knees. But ideally, you want it lower. Okay? So you notice, it's like, well, Debbie, why do you sit on a block? Okay? I have a hip that has got some degenerative loss of cartilage. It's called overextension for a lot of dancing years. So I sit on a block. There it is. You can find sit bones. And I come to this easy seat. Now look at the difference. Now my knees are significantly lower. They're not just there. You might try that on the block. You could, Larry, maybe not with his knee. You can use a bolster, okay? If you find that that bugs your knee, okay? Some of us have knee issues, and it might be a knee sticks way up in the air. Hang on and let me grab props. I am so excited this January. I am taking a yin training, which is working with propping up and getting into some of these poses. Okay, you can always take a 2-block. So that right knee might be a 2-block. Okay, now if going wide hurts, look how much higher. What it does is there's an ease now in the spine, and then the hips have this openness. And if you'll go down and find your hip flexor, start on the hip bone, just take your thumb right down. We found that last week. Lift your leg up a little bit, and you'll find that muscle just goes. So if you can find something that releases that, that's what you're looking for, okay? Because anytime you're sitting here, that's a total contracted. It's not releasing. So you'll see me, I'll sit here, and I don't like going that high, but watch, this is also an option. Hip bones higher than the knees. That's what we're looking for. If you're like, yeah, but the block is so hard, bolster, okay? And I don't think I'd go much higher than that, but I've done totally this. There you go. And you find some ease. So anytime, so that's why we put the blanket on the chair. Almost all of us, when we sit on the chair, our knees are a little bit higher than our hip bones. Except if you're really tall, especially if you have long legs. If you've got short legs like me, you don't need it quite as much. But so that's kind of what we're looking for. If you find that the bolster is just too, you prefer, I sit like this all the time. Okay, this is just one of my favorites. For me, the wide hip, okay, so here I've got my hips propped, and she asked me what I was doing, and I was this. I was thising. Yeah, it's range of motion in that hip, okay? So I have got this particular hip, the top of the femur head, the thigh bone, has a neck, it's thinner, and then a head, like a ball socket. And on the top of the socket, there's cartilage that goes into the hip that now also has, and so that you have this smooth, yeah, mine isn't smooth anymore. And so for me to sit and hold still, have you ever noticed holding still, you stand up and you're like, oh, I can hardly move. So I sit and I'm like doing the hula. It's not my upper body moving. It is just this movement in the hips. And it's just creating continuous blood flow. I know.
How are you doing that?
Lots of practice. So go ahead and squeeze one butt cheek. Just squeeze the butt cheek and then release it. And squeeze the other one and release it. Okay, I don't even have to squeeze anymore. So what I'm doing is I'm just tilting and moving that pelvic area, that hip socket all over the place. Yeah, great question. How does that feel?
It hurts.
Is it knee or hips? Hips, it's a hip socket. So you are never going to sit without a prop underneath you, okay? And the other thing I was going to show you, because both of you have a knee that's a little bit more injured, you're up in the air. Do you see this? It's going to go right underneath that. So that, the minute I support that, this can release, okay? And so you can totally do it on both sides. You can use bolsters. Props, to me, props are advanced yoga, okay? So you're totally, so if that, try that. Joyce, let's put you, I want you to come into easy pose, which is the cross-legged. Bend your knees. I'm gonna put this under that. And let's put my other one, actually, let's put the bolster under there. So I should turn this camera around. Do you care to be on camera? Okay, I want them to see what we're doing. So, here we go. This is Joyce. She says it's okay. There you go. So we've got her major propped up. How's that feel?
Comfortable.
Isn't it comfortable? Mm-hmm. But you've taken totally the strain out of those hip sockets. Okay. Now go ahead and just try. I know she feels she's like, this is Larry next to Joyce. Wait, Larry, you're on camera. Okay. This is this movement, this ability to be able to just move, right? Yeah. See how much easier it's coming? At first, you just kind of feel like, gosh, I can't get this to move. But that kind of movement, so people will watch, I do this in the car, driving, right? I do this standing in the grocery store line. I do it pretty much everywhere because when I stop, the muscles stop moving. And so I find, and if people think, oh, that weird old lady, oh, well, I can do kind of what I want, right? So great. Thank you for letting me use you. We'll turn these little things around and come back, okay? All right, go ahead. On your backs, all the way down. Shavasana. Phew. Get a blanket underneath your head. I'm moving it. I'm coming. Let the ball just roll around. Oh, there you go. A bolster underneath your knees. Oh, yeah. We'll go this way. There. Okay. Isn't that amazing? We do it and say, oh, I don't need this. I don't need a bolster. I don't need a prop.
And then you prop up and we're like,
It feels so good.
Oh, I feel so good. Why? Is one of the questions I ask. So this is my thought with the slope that we were talking about a little bit at the first of class. When we resist something our body or a teacher, a parent, if you're young, maybe it's a child, maybe it's somebody that they suggest you do something and you're like, oh no. And you totally, without thinking about it, oh no. I feel that's taking that slope and it's not moving it anywhere. We have to be willing to question, to self-question, right? We have to be willing to ask ourselves, is that me? I am Christian, you know that. I share that a lot of times here. One of the disciples asked Jesus, Lord, is it I? It's the same thing. We must check ourselves. It doesn't matter our starting point. My starting point was amazing. I had a wonderful upbringing. Marvelous parents that are still alive and still counsel me and give me insight. If I don't at least think about what they're saying, I'm basically shutting myself off. Yoga is not about shutting ourselves off. It is about opening ourselves up. Letting everything go. You'll have thoughts come, but you're just going to treat them as clouds. So they're going to come in, oh yeah, okay, and they're going to go out. In my little singing group, some of the places we sing are memory care facilities. And the other day, probably I had about 7 times where I just, had the cloud thought come in and go, and it needed to stay for a moment because I needed to do something. Or I was mixed up, and some of my cohorts in singing made the comment, maybe we should leave you here in the memory care demo. So we have moments where we can have those pauses. There's nothing wrong with thinking. Our brain is meant to think. I'm going to end the tape here, the recording. Those of you in class, you can kind of sit down or just stay down. We'll end in a sec. Don't be afraid to question yourselves. Start every day with a new starting point, a new upward slope. I know that I've talked to some addicts that have really worked and been able to turn their lives around. And that they say the biggest thing is that it's not even every day, it's every minute. This minute I did great. This minute I did great. This minute I did great. And if there's a downward slope and we don't do so great, we start again. It's never too late to start. Have a marvelous Wednesday. Namaste.